Hey there, Steve from Sidemount Pros. I've had a few questions that have come up recently after a post by Flow State Divers, which was about how you stow the long hose and whether the inflator hose here for your dry suit goes over the long hose or under the long hose on the right hand side. Now, it's really hard to understand this, and it all comes down to the way that you stow your hose on the right hand cylinder. So a lot of guys, I see that they tend to stow the hose on the outside of their cylinder. I stow mine on the inside, and in fact mine looks exactly like this when I have it ready to dive. So you can see nice and tidy. This is the way I was shown in Mexico. This is the way they do it in Gozo. You see the clip there? It's on the inside of the clip or above the clip. If you imagine this sitting on my right hand side now, you can see the hose is on the inside and is in fact covered by my body. So it's really good for protecting the hose, and that's probably the reason that they go that way. I don't think it's necessarily wrong for the hose to route on the outside the way Flow State I think we're doing it. Both extremely competent in terms of side mount diving, and I defer to the way that they do it if that's the way they want to do it, but this is the way that I do it. So given that this hose is stowed here, it's on the inside of the clip, this clip's going onto the side of my harness, then my long hose, when I put it on, will deploy and come up. I'll make my loop, and then this will go around my neck, and it will either go in my mouth or will clip off to my D-ring. So now we've got to put on the dry suit hose. So when I connect the dry suit hose, if I put it under, and so I have the hose here like so, when I deploy this hose, so look at that, that's the way you think it should be, right? With the long hose on the outside so that it doesn't get trapped. Watch what happens when this is connected here. When I go to deploy this hose, so I donate, if you imagine that's donated now, and then I go to deploy this hose, hopefully I can do this without pulling everything off, and then I go to push the turret up, and you imagine this is deployed now, look what happens. It's caught underneath the dry suit hose, dry suit inflator, which is crazy. Let me show you how it works if you do it properly with the dry suit inflator on top rather than underneath. Give me a sec. So here we are back again, same deal. This time, instead of putting the long hose over the inflator, I put it under and hook this onto my dry suit here. Now look what happens when I go to donate. Here it comes. So there's the hose to donate. It's now, there's a clear line with everything above. So as that deploys, it comes out, I rotate the turret, and the entire hose is clear. So that is why when you stow the hose in this fashion, you have the inflator hose over the top. One more question I got. How do you do a modified S drill? What happens and how do you show that the hose is clear? So now we're at the beginning of the dive and we want to do our modified S drill. So we just go through the process, signal I have an issue. Where is my long hose? It's either in my mouth or clipped off. I unclip it. I usually simulate I'm breaking it away. Then I donate the hose. I show that the hose is clear, and then I trace the hose back above the dry suit inflator, and I can show that that's clearly going to deploy. Now this can also, if you get it wrong, this will show as I trace the hose back and go, I'm caught with the long hose with the inflator here. So that's what we do for the modified S drill if you are in fact stowing the hose in this manner. As I said, nothing wrong with doing it the other way. This is the way that I do it. This is the way that I teach it. It's the way I was taught in Mexico. Pretty sure it goes all the way back to Steve Bogarts in terms of the way this works. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Please correct me if others have changed this since then, but it's certainly the way that I do it. And so counterintuitively, when you are donning, the inflator goes over the long hose. Okay, here's the long hose inflator over, and then here. And you can see in reality, I mean, this would be up and under my armpit here. It's going to look like that when it's done correctly. Hope that helps. Please do comment if you do it the other way, and let me know the advantages that you see of that. I'm sure there's plenty. I think it might be easier to stow the hose in a way. Obviously, you can have the intuitive way of attaching the inflator so that it is in fact under if you go that way. So please leave some comments. Thanks for watching.